Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Whitfield Report, Saturday edition. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting live here from NGC Studios here in South Florida. I want to thank you all for joining me here tonight, wherever you are in the world. Lots to cover tonight, and it's going to be a pretty extensive show. I am starting a little bit earlier tonight than usual. Usually the show starts at 10 p.m. Eastern, but we are starting tonight's broadcast early because it's going to be a jam-packed show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be doing the first half of this show here on YouTube, and then at 11 p.m. Eastern, I will be cutting the transmission here, and then going over to D Live exclusively, where I will be simulcasting this show with the gentleman from Versa Media, Real News, and their podcast. So I'm going to be kind of doing their show at 11, and they're also going to be doing this show at around 11, if that makes sense. So, that will be the agenda for tonight's show. In the meantime, though, we will be here on YouTube until around 11 o'clock, 10:45-ish. So that's why I wanted to get things going a bit early. Like I said, lots to cover. But first and foremost, as always, if you would like to, if you would like to reach out to me during this show, you can do so by following me on Twitter and Instagram at @SMDB_NDC, hashtag Whitfield Report. You can follow the Whitfield Report on Twitter at Whitfield Report. Follow me on Gab and Minds and Parler at Sam Whitfield. Facebook.com/Whitfield Report. TheSamWhitfield.com for all of your needs relating to the show. And of course, you can subscribe to the audio podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, big shout out to Fat Keck Boy, who Fat Keck Boy and Andy's Random Edits, both who have been helping me with the transition over to D Live. So also check out the Whitfield Report D Live channel at dlive.tv/Whitfield Report, where I will be doing the second and third hours of the show over there tonight exclusively, once I am joined by the Versa Media crew. But we have in the chat right now Apex Gamma, our first and only chatter. So welcome, sir. And of course, more people will join as the stream progresses. But anyway, let's start off with the news of the day, and boy, oh boy, folks. This week does not, slow down. It's been a heavy news week. On Thursday we covered Trump's executive order for social media. We covered that a little bit on, Thursday. But then, the biggest thing in the news this week are was the murder of George Floyd by a police officer, and, the subsequent riots that have been happening. Now, let me start off by saying that I am usually very pro police officer. I am proud to say that I've had several people tune into the program over the years, not just when I was doing the Whitfield Report, but also during my Whitfield analysis days when the show was titled that. I have a significant amount of listeners, at least on the audio end of the podcast, that are police officers. And to a certain extent, I respect law enforcement, but I've also said that there are those officers who feel that they live above the law. And we see that more and more these days. It's unavoidable. And so, yes, I do realize that there are good cops out there, but more and more, as we see these measures of brutality out there, it's becoming increasingly clear that more needs to be done. And the issue isn't so much white cops on black civilians. No, this is more of an issue of not just the police department, but that we have a system in place in our legal system. The biggest problem here is the prison industrial complex and the fact that prisons and jails have to fill quotas every year. So, yeah. The fourth was the cop car burned to the ground. Yeah. Well, this whole thing is getting crazy real fast. So, anyway, let's start off with a clip. For those of you who haven't seen this yet, this is from the Washington Post, and obviously there are a lot of, there's a lot of footage of this that I could, play here, but, in downloading clips tonight of the George Floyd incident, this was the best one I could find. So here is, the footage of George Floyd's death. This was filmed, and this came from the Washington Post. At least this video did. So. Okay, let me hold up here.
On May 25th.
Hold up here. Okay. It always makes me do this. Okay. Okay, here we are. That should be a little... Okay, here we are. That should be a little better, hopefully. So, here's the here's the Washington Post report. And again, I'm not a big fan of the Post here, but they do a pretty good job of summarizing somewhat what happened.
2020. George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man, died after a white police officer, holding his knee on Floyd's neck, pinned him to the pavement while he was in handcuffs. In the days that followed, public outrage grew over what some protesters and lawmakers said is another case of police brutality against a black man. The Washington Post reconstructed some of the events surrounding the death of Floyd, using private security footage and audio of EMS calls, as well as cell phone video. In Minneapolis, the incident occurred on the corner of East 38th Street and Chicago Avenue. A security camera outside the Dragon Walk restaurant at the corner captured an initial police interaction with Floyd. The footage obtained by the Post begins at 7:50 p.m. The camera didn't capture the audio of the encounter. The timestamp on the video is 24 minutes ahead of current time, according to the owner of the restaurant, Rashad West. On the corner, facing Chicago Avenue, is the Cup Foods convenience store. According to Jamar B. Nelson, a spokesman for the owner of Cup Foods, 2 men, including Floyd, used counterfeit currency to purchase items. The employees noticed the men were still outside of the shop, inside a blue Mercedes SUV, and went to speak with them. Floyd is in the driver's seat. While they're outside of the shop, at 8:01 p.m., the police are called for a report of a forgery, according to the department. Officers from the Minneapolis Police Department arrive at Cup Foods. 2 officers walk into the store, and a minute later, leave and cross the street to the blue SUV. An officer goes to the door. Behind the SUV, in a Ford Mercury, a bystander at 8:10 p.m. started filming the exchange between Floyd and the officer. The view is partially obscured, but shows the moments before Floyd is handcuffed. What appears to be a brief struggle occurs before Floyd exits the car. Floyd is handcuffed. Only part of the conversation between Floyd and the officers is captured in the footage.
Okay, now what I have not been able to find out is what Floyd was allegedly arrested for. I keep seeing conflicting reports on what that was. I think it might have been for harassing a store owner or something. Like they asked him to leave, and then this these cops came in. That's what I've read online. But I guess the reason why he was arrested now is kind of negated by what happened. So, anyway. Yeah, for those who are in the chat just arriving, don't worry about arriving late. YouTube is always late in notifying you guys when this stream goes live, so I don't fault you guys at all. So Andy's random edits goes jogging, I think. Wait, Andy, are you being serious? Is he the jogging guy, or nah? That's got to be a joke. But at any rate, let's continue on here. This exchange is, yeah, it's about to get nasty up in here.
A minute later, an officer seats the handcuffed Floyd against a wall. And a minute after that, stands Floyd up on his feet. The Minneapolis officers then walk Floyd across the street to the sidewalk in front of Cup Foods. In the view from the camera at the restaurant, Floyd appears to be placed against the police car outside the store and falls. Officers pick him back up and put him back against the police car door. Body cam video released by the Minneapolis Park Police begins at 8:14 p.m. when a Parks officer responding to a request for assistance from Minneapolis police parks his vehicle in front of Cup Foods. A police officer with a handcuffed Floyd asks him to guard the vehicle across the street. At 8:15 p.m., some interaction on the driver's side of the cruiser occurs between the police and Floyd before Floyd can be seen on the ground. The vantage point does not have a clear view of the sequence of events. However, a second later, Floyd's head appears above the police car before he moves out of the frame. At 8:17 p.m., a third squad car arrives. 2 officers exit the vehicle. Bystanders identify them by their name and badge numbers as Officer Tho Tao and Derek Chauvin. Their identities were later confirmed by the police department. Thao and Chauvin walked over to the other officers already outside the store with Floyd. At 8:18 p.m., there appears to be a struggle on the passenger side of the vehicle that lasts for at least a minute. At this vantage point, we cannot see who was involved. A criminal complaint later filed against one of the officers alleges Floyd refused to enter the car, even after officers moved him from the driver's side to the passenger side. Movement stopped around 8:20 p.m. This video was filmed around the same time, near the Speedway gas station across the street from Cup Foods. The video appears to show one officer kneeling on Floyd's neck, while two other officers crouch nearby. At 8:20 p.m., bystander Darnella Frazier, who is standing near the entrance of Cup Foods, begins to film. In Frazier's video, we can see Floyd pinned face down by the knee of the officer, later confirmed by the department as Chauvin.
Please, 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 I can't breathe. Please, man.
At 8:22 p.m., 2 minutes after Frazier started filming, officers called for an ambulance. The dispatcher called for an ambulance to the location citing a code 2.
On to Minneapolis, Cup Foods, 3759 Chicago Avenue, code 2 for medical.
Control copy, code 2.
Oh yes, so I was on mute there. So that was a bit embarrassing, but anyway, like I was saying, thanks for the $1 donation in Fat Kick Boy. And so yeah, it does look like paramedics were dispatched, but they weren't. By the time they arrived, Floyd was dead. Now, there is apparently also footage of a civilian trying to help out Floyd, but he gets blocked by a cop. So, anyway, continuing on, let's see how this goes.
8:23 p.m., the urgency of the response was escalated, according to EMS recordings.
412, we're going to go 3.
Copy, code 3.
Floyd remained pinned on the ground. At 8:25 p.m., nearly 5 minutes after Frazier started filming, onlookers confronted the officers about Floyd's condition after it appeared he was not conscious.
Right now, bro. No, bro, look at him. He's not responsive right now, bro.
Across the street, the park.
So we do see footage of people trying to, intervene. Now, this is a big reason why a lot of people are, starting to be distrustful of cops for good reason. Not just those in the black community, but any civilian, trying to check on police activity. Most people aren't armed, so they see an officer with a gun and a badge telling them to, back up, and most of them don't want to, cause trouble, so they back up. So, let's see. Join the choir invisible. Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot I had my mic muted. But yeah. And like I said, I'll be joining the Versa Media crew guys at 11 p.m. So I'll be doing an extended broadcast of the Whitfield Report for the third hour exclusively on D Live. So yeah, please follow the Whitfield Report on DLive TV /the Whitfield Report, and we'll be going over there. So
Police officer speaks to a passenger who was in the vehicle with Floyd.
Let's stay put here. All right, tell my partners and I'm done over there that they can figure things out. We'll figure things out, all right? Right now, we're grabbing an ambulance for you, buddy.
At 8:27 p.m., a Hennepin healthcare ambulance arrives. Shortly afterwards, a young relative of the store owner walks out of Cup Food.
So the cop tells the civilians just to back away. We're handling it.
In Frazier's video, an onlooker reacts to the young man.
In the store, bro. He's not moving.
I see that.
Bro,
I'm trying to help y'all out.
Bro, you don't need to help me out, bro. I know your parents. I know everybody that owns the store. You don't need to help me out, bro. He's not moving right now. Are you serious?
The young man tries to intervene and stop the police, but is pushed by Officer Thao. Officer Chauvin lifts his knee from Floyd's neck around 8:28 p.m. after 8 minutes and 46 seconds, according to a criminal complaint filed against the officer. Floyd was placed on a stretcher around 8:29 p.m. At the same time, the fire department was called.
12, fire 3, please. Oh my God.
412 copy, adding fire code 3.
Frazier's video shows the Hennepin ambulance leaving the scene at 8:30 p.m. According to a May 26 report from the fire department, 2 crew members of a fire department ambulance boarded the Hennepin ambulance at 36th Street and Park Avenue. Inside the report says, medics are working on unresponsive, pulseless male. The incident report states that Floyd died at 9:25 p.m. at the Hennepin Healthcare Emergency Room.
So to those of you listening to this on the audio podcast, I will read because there are captions. So on May 26, 4 Minneapolis Police Department police officers involved in the incident were fired, including Thao and Chauvin. Chauvin, the officer who pinned Floyd's neck with his knee, has been charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. A number listed for Chauvin's home appeared to be disconnected, and attempts to reach his attorney, Tom Kelly, were unsuccessful. And that is pretty much the end of the video here, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah. And, Shovel Paint brings up a good point. Since when do state patrol officers ride in ambulances to a call? Well, like I said, folks, I'm, a pretty pro-cop guy. But, over the past few years, I have definitely started to notice that the police department is getting more and more militarized. And again, this is not necessarily just a racial issue. This is a whole big problem of the police department being, militarized, and the prison industrial complex needing quotas and arresting people for rather, stupid stuff, minor positions. At this point, we don't even know what Floyd was arrested for. I mean, we haven't gotten a straight story on that. Doesn't really matter though at this point, because over the past few days, riots have started to break out across the country, and stuff is getting really weird here, really, really fast. So let me hop into the chat. So there are riots going on right now. In fact, there is a riot that has erupted in Los Angeles right now, and according to ABC News, the one in Los Angeles is the one that just started. So let me see here. I think this is a live feed. Let me see if I can tune in here real quick.
Terrible situation on the streets of Southern California. Leanne.
So yeah, right now I am looking at a live feed of ABC 7 in Los Angeles. I will pull the screen up for you. This is breaking news, by the way, that a riot in Los Angeles has now broken out. So let me switch here to the screen and play this for you.
Suitor, back to you. No? Chris Christie.
The drive itself, but we did have reports of a number of people trying to break into the Gucci store and some other stores as well. We're not sure as to the degree of the success, whether they've been able to actually make their way in, but just near the bottom of your screen you can see a number of these buildings along Rodeo Drive have been tagged with graffiti, so they did spend some time here and did do some degree of damage. As we come around, we'll try and look a little bit further south on Rodeo, Chad, and see if we can see any other activity south of Santa Monica Boulevard. You can see most of the activity does appear to be on the north side there. They appear to have emptied out Rodeo Drive, a long line of Beverly Hills police vehicles, and the rest, but you can see the rest of Rodeo Drive, rather, is virtually empty at this point. So right there near the park on the top side there, you can see several hundred of these protesters have now been pushed off of Rodeo Drive.
I do find it funny, ladies.
Beverly Hills. You mentioned that. How many numbers of
there?
I do find it funny, ladies and gentlemen, that Los Angeles has ordered a curfew between 8 p.m. and 5:30 a.m. Yeah, like people are seriously going to be, respecting that and whatnot. Let's read some of the chat real quick before going back to the live feed. Sam Whitfield, they reported you are starting riots up in your area. Care to comment on that? Well, I mean, I am trying to get people to go to Ursa Manor still to confront Owen over John Arcade. I'm still working on that, but no riots. So yeah. Let's see. Go to GloomTube on DLive. I don't know who that is, Fat Cake Boy, but I will check them out. I will also tell you that Hoax Wars is a good channel to follow on DLive as well. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I will be streaming live with the Versa Media guys at 11 p.m. exclusively on DLive for the second hour of the Whitfield Report, for the second and third hours of the show. So we will get that set up for there. But anyway, yeah, riots are happening in Los Angeles. Let's continue to listen in for a bit.
Either lockdown or some sort of extra, or working extra hard, or working from home, or not working at all, facing whatever tensions they face. Then add in this situation and add in the fact that there could be a spike in cases because of these demonstrations. There's enough people. A lot of them are doing this without masks. A lot of people obviously very close together. You just add that into this, it just makes it all even more difficult to deal with, and the consequences.
So the media is trying to tie COVID into this, right? Oh, people are disregarding the COVID orders to stay home and whatnot. And I know that we have some people listening who are in California. So correct me if I'm wrong, but can't you get arrested if you're violating like stay-at-home orders in California. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the case the last time I checked. Maybe not, but So. Also, people were wondering if you might take your shirt off. Well, you'll have to wait until I'm over on D Live to see if that happens. It might not. So, like I said, thanks to Fat Cake Boy for the donation. Also, thank you to Andy's Random Edits. I do want to give him a shout out. Andy's Random Edits fixed the video on my last D Live broadcast archive because the audio and video were out of sync when I downloaded the replay. So yeah, let's see. Alan, Fuchsia, nobody. They just said you could be arrested and cited some code that has nothing to do with it. It was a scare tactic for idiots. Well, I mean that's the whole thing, right? Is they're trying to tie this into COVID, right? That now that people are rioting, and I kind of predicted that this was going to happen, folks, but now that people are riding across the country, this is going to be, mark my word, folks, you can clip this. For those of you who clip, if you're so inclined, mark my words, folks, now that people are riding, now that people are out and not wearing masks, Fauci or whoever else is running things right now. Not Trump, but mostly Fauci and whatnot are going to be saying, oh, because of these protests, we need to extend, quarantine. And so we're going to get, quarantine orders probably into September at this point. Maybe longer. Because, people went outside to protest in highly populated areas. So the deep state definitely is going to use this, to continue the stay-at-home orders.
Consequences are even more, in a way, consequential, if you want to, for lack of a better word. And we're watching this now. This is the city of Beverly Hills. We've got it in the city of L.A., two different locations in L.A. There was a demonstration outside LAPD headquarters. We haven't been back there yet, so we don't know what that situation is. We do know what's been happening in the Fairfax district of Los Angeles, 3rd and Fairfax.
Why are people riding in Beverly Hills? Isn't Beverly Hills where all the rich, white, e-thought girls live in California? I could be wrong, but isn't Beverly Hills where all the waspy people are in California? And for those of you Zoomers who have no idea what I just said, I said WASP, White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. So, yeah. I mean, Fat Cake Boy. I've been saying it for months that Trump needs to get rid of Fauci. Let's see. Aviation arms. No food November. Yep. This is the intermission. Oh yeah. Believe me. Like I said, I predict that they're going to extend quarantine orders because of this shit. So, the Storm Wrenches goes, yeah, but that's where the good stores are. So, yeah, white and sexy people. Yeah, well, why are the white and sexy people rioting. Well, never mind. I just answered my own question because of course, rich white kids feel the need to get in on everything, right? That's the majority of who makes up Antifa now. So what am I saying? I just answered my own question, quite literally. So.
Grove, Farmers Market, that area. Chrissy, are you there?
Yeah, I am getting the Adidas store and a nail salon at Melrose and Spalding. It's right along Melrose, and you can see, as you mentioned, LA City Fire on the scene down here. We did see the shattered windows at the storefront, and it did obviously take some time for them to get over here because it does look like, based on
burning down the house,
back door there, this entire building is involved in this fire. So a nail salon adjacent to that empty storefront. That's that white roof that you see where the flames are coming from. The building to the right of that is the Adidas store. So this entire block, this portion of Melrose has been cleared out of here. The most notable part about this is, by the way, there's a whole bunch more fire trucks pulling up now. But this is several blocks, about 20 to 25 blocks north of the focal point of most of today's disturbance, which is near the Grove. So we are much further north. Now, I don't see a large volume of people here, but obviously there were some individuals that managed to get up here and start lighting fires. If that's the case, that's going to be a problem, obviously, if this starts popping up and spreading in any direction on the west side. I mean, it just takes a match to start a fire. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, no shit. And California is the last place you want to start, a fire these days because of, forest fires and whatnot. And yeah, I get that it's LA, it's the city, but, you start to have fires around the city enough, pretty soon it is going to travel up there. And then we're going to be, and then Californians are going to be, are going to be fucked again in terms of that. So, to all of my listeners in California and audience members living in California, you know who you are. Some of you are in the chat right now. I have to ask you, why do you guys live in California? Why do you guys live in California? I'm serious. So. Add that they were all predictable. Liberal cities will destroy themselves. That's the case. So yeah, riots. Now there was some really weird shit last night. Let me see if I can find footage of this for you folks. Because I kept getting tweets about this last night. And I was too tired to do a live stream on this, but apparently there were children riot gear. Let's see here. Okay, so this is interesting. So let me go back to the screen here. Okay, so this is footage I saw last night on Twitter, but apparently Red Pill Media has uploaded it. So children age 12 used in riot control in Minneapolis. Now, I saw this on Twitter last night, and I have some theories as to what this is.
Fuck let their little bro in the army. Hey, how old are you, bro? 13? Fuck let their little bro in the army. Hey, how old are you, bro? 13? 14? God damn, bro. Somebody come get y'all little brothers, bro.
There's literally like a 12-year-old out here, 13, maybe 14. It's honestly weird. There's literally like a 12-year-old out here, 13, maybe 14. I don't know what the fuck y'all got running.
Fuck let their little bro in the army. Hey, how old are you, bro? 13?
Okay, so this got shared around social media last night, and there have been all sorts of conspiracy theories as to what this is. Now, in all seriousness, I don't think that this is the case of the government is now, putting kids in uniform and sending them out to guard stuff. Tim Pool, actually, I watched one of his videos earlier today, and he had a theory about this video that I think makes a lot of sense and that I'm kind of going to go with because it's what I thought. At this point, things are so hysterical in the with the press and the riots and everything like that. I honestly think that some Yahoo, probably like someone who's like 18 or 19, this is just pure speculation, but this is kind of my theory. I think that someone probably got together with their younger brothers who were like, 13 or 14, or maybe their cousins or something, and, asked them like, hey, do you want to make some, quick money? I'll pay you. And they got these costumes and drove downtown Minneapolis or wherever and started filming these kids in riot gear and got costumes and bought the fake guns. Now it might not be that, but it's more likely that as opposed to the government is now sending junior ROTC recruits into guard places. That's like the big conspiracy that they're using. Oh, this is all these conspiracy theorists are going off now and saying, oh, well, they're using child, soldiers now. It's starting. It's happening. No, this was not the case. No, Sean. No Owen bashing tonight. You are out of luck, my friend. But, I would advise you, Sean. Stick around. Stick around, my friend. You and your curly-headed hair of curliness, I guess. No, I'm breaking down what happened in Minneapolis last night with the child soldiers. But Andrew's random edits, exactly. Cosplay of sorts. That's exactly what I think happened. It involved someone with some military knowledge. They bloused their BDUs. Well, I mean, haven't we seen cases of stolen valor before? I mean, okay, so screw it. I guess we will do a little Owen, maybe not Owen bashing, but maybe someone had some military, expertise somewhat. You're certainly right about that, maybe, Aaron Cross. But then again, so did Eric Nimmer to a certain extent. Eric Nimmer was a fake soldier, and yet, I gotta hand it to the guy. He did act the part enough to con people into thinking that he was an actual Marine for a real long time. Now you could say, oh, well, the Bears were stupid and idiotic for believing he was a Marine. And that's true. They're not wrong about that. But if you can, if you can fake being a U.S. Marine, why can't you fake, sending kids in or sending junior ROTC to make a statement that, we're now using child soldiers, and so that's what I think happened. I don't think that they're actually sending child police officers out there. The other thing is, if that were the case, right? Let's just say that this was true, that these were in fact child soldiers being out there, right? Why haven't we seen this anywhere else before? Shouldn't we be seeing 12 and 13-year-old soldiers showing up in Los Angeles now, or in other parts of the country where riots are taking place? It doesn't make sense. So yeah, you're right that this is super weird, but honestly, I think this is some Yahoo's attempt at ginning up. I hate to use this term, but this whole thing is fake news. Honestly. So, Sam's got nah, I don't. So, I mean, the closest I have to a child army is Sean, and he's not a child. He's only 2 or 3 years younger than I am. So, but yeah, let's see. Let's see. A Storm Wrenches goes, yeah, Nimmer's teeth weren't squared away. Yeah, that's true. His teeth weren't squared away. So, let's see. MS-13, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so this was weird, I would have loved to play that Tucker video, but I don't think Fox News will allow me to play any of their stuff anymore. So, well, Aaron Cross brings up a good point in the chat. They looked mostly white, and that's the other thing is all these people are protesting, right? Antifa. A lot of the people are who are starting to loot with fires and whatnot. They're all white kids. Which brings me to the next clip that I want to pull up for you guys. because this, ladies and gentlemen, this thought immediately popped into my head, once, seeing everything. Let's see if this is even on YouTube. Oh, it still is. Would you look at that? Okay, so here, you want to know my take on the riots, ladies and gentlemen? And you want my take on the whole George Floyd incident? I think that this is an instance of the deep state and the powers that be. I don't think that this is a false flag at all. This was obviously a real event. But the powers that be are obviously using this crisis to their advantage. And I have evidence of this for a certain point of. I have evidence of this. Let's go back to 2008. So more than 12 years ago now. Let's go back to when this podcast first started. No, 13 years ago. President-elect Barack Obama at the time, his chief of staff, Mr. Rahm Emanuel, had the following to say about the opportunity presented by crisis. Let's see. November 19th, 2008 was when this clip was uploaded to YouTube. And it still holds, and what Rahm Emanuel said is something that still holds true today. He outed himself in the whole entire deep state, what is now known as the deep state.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before. I think America as a whole in 1973 and 1974, and not just my view, but obviously the administration, missed the opportunity to deal with the energy crisis that was before us. For a long time, our entire energy policy came down to cheap oil.
All right, let me go back and play that again.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before. I think America as a whole in 1973 and 1974, and not just my view, but obviously the administration, missed the opportunity to deal with the energy crisis that was before us. For a long time, our entire energy policy. You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Okay, so I played that 3 times because I want you guys thinking about that. Now, Sam, that's an old quote. That's been overplayed. You're taking him out of context. Conservatives and libertarians have been taking him out of context. Have we really, though, folks? This is what I propose to you. Right? Never let a serious crisis go to waste. We have seen the far left use the Trayvon Martin incident to stoke racial riots and cause Black Lives Matter. We have seen them use several other incidents. This is the latest. We've seen them use COVID for crying out loud, to create a crisis. And I talked about this a few weeks ago, right? How because I choose not to wear a mask in public for short trips, right? Like if I'm just like walking around my neighborhood or something, you know, I am now an enemy. I'm now a bad person. I now want old people to die, right? Because I'm not wearing a mask. And others who don't wear masks, they want old people to die, right? And with this latest incident, oh, it's a racial issue. This is another example of, you know, white cops abusing, you know, black unarmed men or, you know, women, despite the fact that the officers doing the abusing, yeah, one of them was white, but there was an Asian guy. It looked like there were a few, you know, Mexican officers there too that were part of this. So these riots, right? You have Antifa, you know, coming in and lighting fires too. You have activist groups going out there and, you know, leaving bricks, piles of bricks at various locations for protesters to come along and, you know, throw them. Right? So the crisis doesn't necessarily have to be faked. The crisis can be real. But the media narrative is such now that the mainstream media can gin this up to be, you know, oh, this is a racial problem. I guarantee you that just like everything else, this is going to come down to, this is Trump's fault. You know, Orange Man bad. We need to get rid of Trump, and we need to elect, you know, Joe Biden. Despite the fact that Joe Biden said just a few weeks ago that if you're black and you vote for, you know, a Republican, you ain't black enough, right? That was swept under the rug instantaneously. And as I covered on Twitter, as I covered on D Live on that stream the other night, we now have, you know, Jack Dorsey and big tech crapping themselves because Trump is now threatening to regulate them. So, you know, this is going to be another case of, you know, subversion, blame the Orange Man for everything, and, you know, it's going to get nasty, folks. I mean, it already has. But, you know, more riots are going to break out, unfortunately. These riots, to some extent, overshadowed, you know, some other things in the news. There was one positive aspect in the news today, which was the SpaceX launch, right? So let's kind of, you know, let's focus on some of the positive news here for a bit, and then I've got a wrap up here on YouTube. But reading the comments, it's all about control. Oh yeah, absolutely it is. You're damn right it is, Paul. Let's see. Minneapolis was right for picking Philando Castile, Justine Drummond, and George all within a few years. Yeah, that is true. Minneapolis seems to it seems to be really weird, so. Let's see. Let me go back to the main screen here. Any donos you want to make, folks, streamlabs.com/The Whitfield Report. As I mentioned, thanks to Fat Cack Boy for the $1 dono earlier this evening. Really helps us out. So, and as always, you can also support the channel on anchor.fm/Whitfield Report and subscribe to that audio podcast that way. So, alright, so here was the let's see. So here was the NASA and SpaceX launch. Here's up in today some positive news to kind of end the first hour of the show here. So let's end this on a somewhat positive note, shall we? This was actually, I did catch this today, folks, and it was cool to watch. We are going back to space, ladies and gentlemen, and it is quite cool to see.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
With a thunderous rocket roar, America opened a new chapter in space history today. The first launch in 9 years and the first private company ever to launch NASA astronauts into space.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Dragon nominal trajectory.
Astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken traveling 17,000 miles per hour for a Sunday morning rendezvous with the space station. Isolated since March to avoid COVID exposure, they donned their new spacesuits this morning before waving goodbye a second time to their families. With millions tuning in around the world, hundreds of thousands lined the Florida coast to watch the launch in person. Some choosing to socially distance, but many, if not most, caught up in the moment.
We're still America. We're still strong. We're great. We can overcome these challenges, and we still press forward.
Hurley and Behnken.
By the way, good for... this is why I am proud to be a Florida man. I bet you would have never heard those words coming out of my mouth, but it's true. I am proud to be a Florida man because people are getting sick and tired of isolating. I'm so damn happy to see people coming together to celebrate Americana, and let me bang my fist for Alex Jones in effect. It is good to see people out there together celebrating the astronauts launching into space again, and this got overshadowed big time by the fucking riots that took place. And again, I am not I'm not lessening the tragedy of what's going on out there, but we have to look at the positive of what's going on, and this was a big win for Americana and the American spirit here today, which I am all about that American spirit. I mean, I've got the flag as my backdrop on OBS for the show. So,
Lincoln arriving at Launch Pad 39A in an Elon Musk Tesla. The volatile weather clearing just in time as the president and vice president return for the second attempt.
Eco.
Falcon stage separation confirmed.
The liftoff and rocket separation exactly as planned.
Dragon SpaceX nominal orbital insertion.
In a signature SpaceX maneuver, its booster rocket returned to a bullseye landing on a barge in the ocean. At a time of political polarization and pandemic isolation, a moment for the entire nation to cheer as one. From space, Bob Behnken weighed in.
It was incredible. Appreciate all the hard work, and thanks for the great ride to space.
So proud of the people at NASA, all the people that work together, public and private. And when you see a site like that, it's incredible.
Tom, it was thrilling watching.
Okay, so we don't need news commentary from, news anchors. But, this was cool to watch earlier in the afternoon. So, I just thought I would end the show kind of on a positive note there. And I am going to, technically the show is not over. We're just switching platforms. So I'm going to head over to D Live, where I will be joined for the Whitfield Report / Real News crossover at 11 p.m. with Sean and Dictator Phil. We're going to be talking about the riots and whatnot. So head on over to DLive.tv / Whitfield Report, and I will be over there for the next 2 to 3 hours or so. So I hope you will tune in over there as we continue to expand over to D Live. I'm not transitioning over there permanently, but considering that YouTube, is deranking my, streams now and also keeping my videos in processing hell, I figured, why the hell not? So, anyway, folks, I will see you over on DLive TV, and, thanks for tuning in to tonight's, first hour or so of the Whitfield Report, and from all of us here at NGC Studios, God bless, God, freedom, I guess in that order. We will cut transmission here, and then we will be back on, D Live. So